It's About Writing is a weekly vlog by writers for writers to educate, encourage, and promote writers. Join us today as we interview people with experience in all areas of writing. And today we're just going to have our hostesses, and we have informally called it Hat Day because, as Susan says, when you're a writer, you wear all kinds of different hats. So what are some of the hats you've worn, Susan?
Oh my, you're going to start with me. Okay.
Yeah,
So
why not?
yeah, as a writer, or any creative person really, I think you have to wear a lot of hats. I mean, you wear the hat of marketing, you wear the hat of um, business person, you wear the hat of a distributor, you wear the hat of legal questions and concerns, you wear the hat of networking. So those are just some of the hats that I can think of. How about you, Deb? I mean, Addie?
It's okay. I go by Addy Quate, but as my normal name, have been a writer in so many different ways. I started off professionally in radio. So I would have to write radio scripts, ad scripts. I would do a call-in talk show. So I had all kinds of pertinent questions for interesting people, kind of what we're trying to do here. I have been a newspaper reporter. I have covered elections for television. My husband and I actually owned a newspaper for about 8 or 9 years, and we started off literally pasting it up on our kitchen table. And then I was a grant writer for several nonprofits. And then I went back and got a master's in counseling. So the writing changed. I was doing an awful lot of notes, case notes, and writing for various publications, explaining different ways that you could use techniques. So yeah, every hat you can think of, at least in the nonprofit realm. Been there, done that. How about you, Miss Terri Thompson?
Well, fiction writing is the writing that I've done the most. But as a fiction writer, there's a lot of hats to wear too. You're your own secretary, administrator, your own negotiator when you're, talking about contracts or stuff. And obviously marketing is a big thing, especially now. It's more and more on the writer to do the marketing and the promotion of any kind. So you got to get creative about that. And you've got to also, make your own brand. So it can either be a blog or a YouTube vlog.
Yeah.
So this is a new hat that I've been wearing, YouTube video. Never worn that hat before.
I don't think any of us have done that, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah,
And
it is. And we're sort of learning as we go. But yeah, there's a lot of hats and even different parts of the writing, right now I'm in the planning stages for a new novel. So it's a lot of thinking, not even writing, just, thinking and trying things out and thinking about characters and talking to my characters. And then
talking
there's
to,
the writing.
talking to the people in your head, huh?
Right. Right. You sort of have to be psychotic. So I'll need to be one of your, I'll need to come and talk to you later, Addie. But, and then the writing part, the planning, the plotting, and then the writing, and then you have to be an editor. And yeah, so lots of hats.
That's another hat I forgot about. I have edited several people's books, and then do have a blog. So I'm sure there's plenty you've forgotten about too. Susan, what else have you done?
Oh, I know. I was just thinking about as you were, as everybody was talking about the different hats, I thought of a few additional ones. An editor is actually one that I forgot to mention. So yeah, I think that's really a good one. You know, it's interesting because as we were talking about the different hats that you have to wear as a writer, and I think it's also true of any creative, you know, I've worked with a lot of songwriters and visual artists as well. And I think that all of that applies to any of the creative expressions. And one of the things that, you know, as we were talking, it just struck me how similar that is to being an entrepreneur. So when you're an entrepreneur and you're starting up a new business, you have to wear kind of all the hats or most of the hats. And in a lot of ways, you know, a writer this is their vocation, this is their business, you have to be entrepreneurial. And I think the different hats we've talked about kind of is a reflection of that.
Yeah. I've noticed too that writers are very good at helping other writers. You know, so kind of mentoring people along or just sharing their experiences or what worked for them. I've noticed that. You would think that maybe we'd be in competition with each other, but writers are so good at helping each other.
I think some of it is writing can be a very lonely business. I have many times spent the entire day by myself in front of a computer and a notepad and doing research and stuff like that. And after that, you're kind of ready to talk to somebody, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, enough of this.
Yeah, I really agree with that. I think the creative process is often a lonely process, or lonely is maybe not the right word.
It's a solitary process, maybe is a better way to put it. Yeah, and I know
you are sequestered in a way. And so I think that one of the ideas I've had for a while is to create a space, a physical space as well as a digital space for creative entrepreneurs, people who are in the creative business, where they can have their own space to work. But when they get, you know, you get sort of a creative block, or you have hit a wall, or you just say, I've got to see a real person and talk to them, that you know, you can kind of come together and have a cup of coffee and talk about your work. And I think a lot of times there's synergy that develops, there's, you know, just kind of brainstorming. And yeah, so anyway, that's the name of my new business, Fairfield Creative. And part of that vision is the idea that we can create spaces like this, really, where, you know, we can encourage one another and kind of listen and hear what's going on, and have a place where, you know, we can come away from that solitary work for a time to be inspired and encouraged and hear from others.
Yeah, I love that idea.
What do y'all think is the hardest part of writing?
Well, I'll tell you what the hardest part for me is. I don't usually have trouble getting started. I usually have an idea and I get it down on paper or in my, you know, writing file online, and then I don't finish.
Oh, ditto. Over here. Yep. I've got so many half-started stuff.
Yeah. I could wallpaper my house with half-started writing projects.
How about you, Terri?
I was just trying to think about, I think rewriting, like when I finished a project, but I feel like it needs a lot of work, that's overwhelming for me. And it just like, where do I start? And how do I know if I'm going to fix all the same thread all the way through? And what if I drop, you know, like that part's a little bit daunting.
Yeah.
Although I'm following a new plan this time where I hopefully won't have that much rewriting to do at the end, just like tweaking words and making things better, but not changing whole subplots and stuff like that. So it's SEQ, and I got you a book too, Addy. But it's The Story Equation Question by Susan May Warren. She is so good about breaking everything down in the novel writing process. She's just amazing. And this is a really good simplistic book that breaks it down. And so I'm kind of following along as I'm planning out my characters right now and getting to know the character journey before I start. So I'm hoping that's going to cut out some of that big rewriting.
Yeah, that would be good. I think that's one advantage of having started off in print media where you don't get a chance to go back and rewrite everything. You have to write it right the first time because you have a deadline.
Yeah.
Then I pretty much edit as I go. I've done it forever. And so that's one area where maybe it's an advantage, but also a disadvantage because you can get so into making sure it's right the first time that you don't finish, like Susan was talking about, because sometimes that can take a while, like the book I've been working on for the last 10 years. Trying to get it organized and finished. So
yep, we're going to work on that.
So I know that I am creative in other ways as well. You were talking about being a visual artist, Susan. I do photography and I paint and play music. And I think that's probably common with a lot of writers and creative people. I know you sing, Susan. What else?
Well, paintings. I do paintings and photography. It seems
Susan,
like
go get one. Go show us one of your paintings.
Oh, okay. Well,
There's one of mine. If you can see it, it's behind me. Maybe. How do you move this?
Ooh, I like that.
You can't see it very well, but it's in my office. It's
oh,
it's actually painted for my office because the colors are right. I've never done that before or since, but
oh, I like that.
Yeah, very cool. Let's see, how could I do this? I've got
like, do you have one in your office that's not on the wall
one in my office
that you could just bring over?
Well, I do. Yeah, I do. It'll just take a second if you guys want to talk amongst yourselves.
Sure. And Terri, what else do you do? I know you're a creative person.
Well, I do have a lot of creative ideas, like business plans, and like I can come up with all kinds of things like that. I've never thought of myself as an artist, but the novel I'm working on now is a series of artists.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like they're high school age, and they're artists. So I'm actually talking to artists in Fairhope and learning and like trying to do stuff myself. But I like that I like to paint, as long as I know it's just for me, and it's kind of an outlet for me.
Yes.
But because I know I don't have to show it to anybody. It doesn't have to be my career.
Right.
I'm going to try to sell it.
That's how I got started. I was really sick and I was down for a long time. Ooh, that's cool, Sue.
Ooh, yes.
I love it.
You can see the whole thing, but
very cool. Yeah. I just started doing watercolor and have been having fun with that.
It's really different for me than anything I've done before. It's a little more abstract. But anyway, it was fun.
Oh yeah, that looks fun.
I was just telling Terri that the way I got started is I was really sick and I was down for like 6 weeks. I couldn't go anywhere or do anything. And that's how I started painting, because I just started playing with color and shapes and textures and stuff like that. And over the years have learned how to do it. Made jewelry, all kinds of fun stuff. Just, oh yeah, hey, I made this. That's what I've got on.
Oh, very cool. Oh, I've done some sewing too. I've made some purses out of burlap sacks, like coffee sacks.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
But I think that's, that's something we have to do besides write.
Yeah.
I think you have to get in different parts of your brain.
So more hats to wear.
More hats to wear. Not to mention moms and grandmothers and aunts and sisters and dog moms and
dog moms. Yeah. So how's Honeybell? Susan has a very sweet puppy.
Good. She's been pretty good. She's resting. She's been quiet. I was afraid she was going to be what we called in her Zoomy, one of her Zoomy phases, you know, while we were taping and or recording, but she's relaxing right now, so that's
Oh,
really
good.
Yeah, I've got my Australian Shepherd on the floor in front of me. She thinks she has to keep me company in my office. So,
So sweet. Love
yeah.
those animals.
yeah, they're a blessing, especially during COVID,
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
you know, where you're just not out and about as much. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, any final thoughts, ladies?
Well, I would just encourage everyone to think about the different hats that they wear and how they manage and navigate that. You know, like, is it challenging to switch hats and put another hat on and move into the, you know, the planning phase or the marketing aspect? And think about all the different hats you wear, and if there are any other hats that you might need to wear, or if there are hats that you can hand off to someone else.
And say, I think maybe sometimes we need to take a few off. Give
Right.
ourselves
Yeah.
permission to just ride around without the hat on.
There you go.
Yeah, that's very good advice, ladies.
All right. Good to talk to everybody. Have a great week.
Oh, you guys, thank you, ladies, for talking about hats.
Okay.
Hats and writing.
And it's about writing.
Yeah, great to see you all. Happy writing.